Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Suhaili Bautista Carolina, and I'm the Senior Managing Educator of Audience Development and Engagement at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm joining you from Brooklyn, New York, the unceded homeland of the Lenape people. I'm a Black woman wearing a pink and green jumpsuit, gold bamboo earrings, and I'm sitting in front of a window and a green plant. Thank you to Josie for that beautiful welcome song entitled Deep Snow. All of our conversations have been framed by our acknowledgement of the native stewards of the land on which we presently live. We pay respect to all of their ancestors as well as present and future generations. We acknowledge that many Indigenous people continue to live and work on these lands, and we honor their ongoing contributions to our world. On behalf of the Park Avenue Armory and the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I'm so pleased to welcome you to the last panel of our 100 Years, 100 Women conversation series titled The Future of the Arts, What Do Artists Need Now? This series was imagined as a casual lunchtime gathering of artists and project participants to discuss pressing topics and issues as part of our ongoing response to the centennial of the 19th Amendment to the US Constitution, which granted some women the right to vote. So please feel free to grab a beverage and food, participate in the YouTube chat, post your questions there throughout the conversation, and enjoy today's panelists. Now I'll turn it over to Avery for a few additional words of welcome.
Thank you, Suhaili. And I just wanted to say it's been such a pleasure working with you and Alexis and the whole Met team on this series, and to everyone who's helped make this series possible. Just want to say a special thank you for your partnership, your constant joy, and your solidarity. It's really meant the world during this amazing and challenging summer. So I'm Avery Willis Hoffman. I'm the program director at the Park Avenue Armory. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm joining you all today from Brewster, New York. Actually, the last day as I move northward. And these are the occupied and unceded homeland of the Wappingers, the Munsee-speaking Delawares. I am a mixed race woman with brown, golden short curly hair, wearing a black top today with white birds. I'm not sure if you can see the white birds, but they're there. And red lipstick, turquoise earrings, and I'm sitting in a black folding chair with a white background. So as Suhaili mentioned, welcome to our final conversation. We have a wonderful gathering of artists to get today, and each of them have been commissioned through the 100 Years, 100 Women project. So I'm going to invite them all to introduce themselves, and then we will dig into the discussion. Maybe I'll start with Toshi. So Toshi, this conversation series was so much your idea, and Rashida's way back before the new year. And we just had a moment to acknowledge that we hadn't had a chance to really speak with each other and be with each other. And for the artists of the project to have a chance to just know each other and share space. So maybe we'll start with you, and then you can pass the mic as you wish.
Okay, peace, everybody. I'm Toshi Reagon. I am living in unceded Lenape territory, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Today I am wearing a light blue shirt. I'm a Black woman who tries to cut her hair as short as she possibly can. I have a white background with this beautiful poster my mother gave me, which is in celebration of Kwanzaa, and it says, all that we touch is more beautiful. And did I say I was a musician and a curator and a presenter and a producer and a collaborator and a congregationalist? And I will pass it to Michele.
Is that unmute, Michele?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
I'll start again. My name is Michele Pred. My pronouns are she, her. I'm joining you from outside of Hudson, New York, upstate New York, in unceded homeland of the Mohicans. I am an artist and an activist. And today I am sitting in a big living room, and I'm wearing a smile and a yellow and green flowered dress. I have long blonde hair and black glasses. Thanks so much for having me today.
All right.
Oh, and I will introduce Karen Finley.
Oh,
Karen, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I want to thank the hosts and the participants and all the people that have put this together. It's really a pleasure to be here. I am Karen Finley, and I'm an artist, educator, and activist. And my pronouns are she, her, they, them. And I am also a professor in art and public policy at NYU. And today I'm away from my home in Rockland County, and I am on the land of unceded territory of the Lenape Munsee speaking. And I am at my friend's, so I'm happy to be here because there's construction being done where I live. So I feel very grateful that I can participate here today at my friend's. And I'm wearing a pale orange shirt. I like this color a lot. My hair is kind of reddish brown. I'm a white woman. I have a headband and I'm wearing reading glasses. And thank you for letting me be here today.
Thank you, Karen. Abby, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abby Dobson. I go by she, her, hers. I'm zooming in from Freeport, New York, which means I'm on the ancestral lands of the Maroki tribe, the Maroki people. My backdrop is a purple wall. And if you haven't guessed, purple is in fact my favorite color. Oh. I am wearing a green dress with gold accessories, gold earrings, hoops to be exact, gold necklace. I'm wearing red lipstick, and my hair is closely shaven on the sides and sort of like a mop of curls on the top. I am a sonic conceptual performing artist and composer, and what that really means to me, it's a fancier way of saying I'm a singer and a songwriter who loves to write and create music and create words around issues that I care about, issues that I'm passionate about. More than anything, I am a Black woman of Jamaican descent who is a creative being who stems from my grandmother, Frances Lenore Clark Burrell, and my mother, Theda Grace Burrell. Those are the women that I come from and the women that claim me. And I am incredibly grateful and happy to be here today.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you, everyone. So I've been thinking about, this topic, the future of the arts and what do you all need? And I thought maybe we just start with that simple, how are you? Which is so complicated right now, I'm sure, or maybe very simple. But truly, how are you? What have you been up to? What are the types of things that are pressing on you at the moment? How do you define how you are in this moment? And maybe starting there might get us to a point of where we want to be in the future and who we want to help us get there, and where within ourselves and within our tribe and within our community and within our networks can help us get to this future that maybe we can dream of together over this next hour. So how are you? I'll go back to Toshi. How are you, Toshi?
Today I'm pretty good. I feel good. I woke up this morning. I was able to put my feet on the floor and take some steps, and then live in relative safety compared to many people around the world and on the planet. And so I have a heavy heart because of the conditions of the world, and I'm also going to be doing a memorial service this weekend for one of my best friends, also an artist who died last year. So I'm happy and a little sad about that at the same time. I'm feeling very, very creative. I have an abundance of, projects that are moving, and many of them are long-term projects, and so they feel very grounded and very good. I'm very grateful to the artists and collaborators in my life, including you, Avery. So should I pass it to someone, or you want to?
Yeah, go for it.
I want to know how Abby's doing this morning.
Thank you so much. Man, I'm doing really good this morning. And I have been really good of late. I think this period we're all coming out of, or maybe we're still really deep in it. I found myself coming out of the pandemic or living in the pandemic with a lot of anxiety initially. When this project started, we were just sort of thrown into this pandemic and all the anxiety that it created. And I've been really trying to take care of my spirit and myself. I wish I was taking more care of my body, but that's another story. And just trying to move to a place where I can step into owning my power. That's something that I'm constantly trying to remind myself of, that I owe it to myself to do that. Notwithstanding all that, I feel incredibly creative. I've been singing a lot with a chorus that I'm involved with, the Resistance Revival Chorus. And that's been really incredibly joyful, and something that I needed, especially during this period. In addition to that, I've been working on a paper. I'm still sort of halfway in it, about the connection between Black feminist thought and dignity, which is something that I'm really interested in as an individual. I talked about being a singer and a songwriter, and so often people limit us to those spaces. We're all more than those labels that we ascribe to ourselves. And so I'm really interested in that intellectual interrogation, and that inspires me to be thinking about the next project that I want to do, which involves looking at women of color, Black women specifically, and our walks, our journeys in this life. And so that's what I've been thinking about how to bring that to life, what I need to do to give legs to that particular concept. But all in all, I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Always moving from states of anxiety in this time to states of power. And I would love to now hear what Karen has to say about that.
Thank you. I kind of fluctuate all the time, which I think is part of connecting to the space of whether it's like not feeling it, but feeling it at the same time. These multiple of feelings, the observations of the world, of what is happening, from the world events to the war that's going on and the evacuation this week. And even these feelings that when I wake up, how can I contribute? What are the ways as an artist to do? And I feel that one part is creatively to engage and to respond, and that can be inspiring to others, even though I don't feel that all the time. But to stay with it, to inspire. Something else that's been important for me is the next generation, with teaching, to inspire and to help others, or assist, or to witness, or to be there, support other voices. And I have been so inspired by this project, 100 Women, 100 Years, because when it seemed like it was going to collapse, so I use that word collapse because it didn't collapse. It didn't collapse. It really even got larger, and it inspired me. And Avery, thank you, because you just were such a champion. And I feel that being part of this project, because as was just said about this creativity bounty, I have felt that, and I felt that encouraged to be doing that because of within this project a year ago, last summer. And so it feels good to be connected with others. And so I thank you for that.
Michele.
And I will say, Michele, please.
Hello, everybody. I have to say the first response I have in my mind to how I feel is grateful. Grateful to be in the space with all of you. Grateful this weekend. I'm actually not in my hometown at all. I live in Oakland, California. I'm in upstate New York with a group of dear friends that are also artists and activists who are from all over the country. And we didn't last year, to get together once a year and exchange ideas, share support, ignite new ideas together, inspire each other, and share a lot of love. Love is an important thread in the work I do and the work I put out there in the world. I think moving forward, as we're going to get into this discussion more about moving forward in the future, what do we do as artists? Spread more love is high on my list. And then also sort of just have to say, as far as being grateful, Abby, to the work that you do and all the resistance survival sisters and the chorus. That's something that's helped me through this year, listening, and I'm not trying to promote here, but it's just, I've been listening to your album a lot. It's given me a lot of joy. And it helps us. Music and art helps keep us going through these times. And so that's been really beautiful. Thank you, Abby, and all the resistance survival sisters, as I call you, but the chorus. And also, like Karen, I've been responding as an artist, responding in the moment, in some ways not feeling inspired creatively, but been responding, politically to what's happening in the world, because that's all I know how to do when I'm frustrated or scared or things are anxious, whether, as we've had, a year of pandemic, seeing the images just this last week of Kabul, and when I live in an area of, wildfires, drought, all the stress taking place in our country and all over the world. I always see it as my job, a job that I love, to respond and put art into the world, reacting and to these issues, and hopefully helping people either see things differently or feel better, or just like the resistance revival chorus, get through the day. So like I said, I'm feeling grateful, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Michele. I love that idea of joy, and maybe we could linger on that for a minute. I mean, I was thinking back to those early days of planning the project, where we really dreamed of having a big gathering at the Armory, takeover of the drill hall, a procession down Park Avenue. I mean, we had so many incredible dreams. And I think that the joy of gathering artists from so many different disciplines to share space and to be supportive of each other. And, we really dreamed of moments where you all could share your work and share with each other, with the public. with potential funders, with, you know, a community of folks who have been craving and eager for meeting new artists and being exposed to different projects. And so I'd love to just talk about that joy for a minute. And Toshi, I know, you know, we've done so many wonderful things together at the Armory, and joy has been such a spark, you know, for a lot of what we've done. Can you say a little bit about what brings you joy right now, or who brings you joy, or what brings you joy in this moment? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I access joy in really simple ways. I think I made my coffee really good this morning. It's not always a given. And I do feel that my family and my family's very extended, inclusive of multiple artists, of type folks, of course. But my family's like a breathing entity on its own. And I'm always just, you know, happy and ecstatic about the way we are with each other and how connected we are, and how much you don't go a day without somebody asking you if you need something or if you're okay. Like just that large group of people really, you know, we were already pretty cool, but then we came together. And then of course, you know, I think of joy as an antidote and an energizer. And so for the, you know, I can't live in a joy place. Like I can't just be joyful, like it's gotta do something. It's that part of my life is over until the world shifts in another direction. So I think of joy as an energizer, as a vibe of continuum and focus. And so if you have it, and you're inside of a situation where your life isn't in danger, then gives you access to creating solutions and even the smallest bit of something that could help someone else or help a situation. So it's you know, it becomes like, you know, I can't walk long distances. Like I have had a lot of surgeries. So I am not a person who could like travel my body someplace a long way and like do something. But I think through the power of joy, through the power of love, through the power of awareness, I am able to create other ways of connecting and being helpful. And so, you know, that all runs together, even though most of the things I'm trying to support are that, you know, we could talk about joy in a dangerous place. I'm happy for that conversation, because that is a very Black conversation to have. So, yeah.
Anyone else want to contribute to the joy question?
Yeah, I really love the way Toshi just framed her conception of joy. I think similarly related, for me, joy is about honoring need. There's no joy for me if need in the world that's going unmet is not honored and recognized. Joy for me is also about honoring stories and uplifting stories that need to be told. Joy is also for me about claiming rest, and I personally been doing that a lot this year, claiming rest in the ways that I need it, and rethinking, you know, how I conceive self-care. Self-care is not just self-care, but self-care is connected to community, and how communities that claim me and communities that I claim, how we're all doing that impact how I feel joy. And so joy, like, you know, one of my favorite authors is Toni Morrison, and the way she describes love as being thick and beloved. Joy is also that kind of concept for me, that has a thickness to it. It's not you know, a vacuous sort of concept about necessarily being happy, but it's deeper than that. For me, it's also rooted in connection to friends and family. I'm a new auntie. I have a niece who's about 2 years old. And so joy for me is watching her discover the world for the first time and looking through her eyes to sort of see the world and see things in a different way, and hearing her say, you know, Auntie Abby, brings me joy. And of course, singing brings me joy, reading brings me joy. And when I need it, zoning out on Netflix also brings me a lot of joy.
I'll respond. Thank you for your responses. For me, joy has so many multiple of ways that it's expressed and felt, but I also like to have joy, to keep joy, that despite whatever is going on in the outside, that can be a space of resistance or a space of holding humanity and of being a joyful person, so that I can, or to be within humanity, to be open and to be aware. And that is what I was just thinking about here. And just the gratitude, which I think earlier someone had just said that they felt so grateful, Michele, from joy then brings me to gratitude and gratefulness and compassion. And I love that feeling. And I do say love the feeling of the swirling of the journey of the emotions and the human experience of living. And it's fun being an artist. I like a little fun too.
I will continue with the fun. I think fun and being playful with my art community, and right now it's with the women that I'm gathered with up here in upstate, and even especially playful time is a wonderful joy, with exchanging of ideas, laughing, being silly. But I also want to acknowledge that experiencing joy, I feel like in our world, is a privilege. That just want to acknowledge the people that all the challenges for political reasons, religious reasons, that don't have that privilege of experiencing a lot of joy. So I just want to acknowledge that. Radical joy is essential in my life, as well as radical love, and as a participant of the Wide Awakes and Four Freedoms. That is one of our main focuses, is radical joy, and creating that and interacting and sharing it, like we are doing today, is essential to my being, and spreading that joy, because I really believe joy, if we can spread it, if we can spread love, we can change the world with that love, with that joy. It's about creating even more of an abundance and putting it out there in the world, I think, is going to help us get through so many issues that are going on today that we are dealing with, whether it's COVID or injustice around the world.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. I love just dwelling in joy a little bit. That was really, really good. So I guess, Michele, that was a really nice segue into this question of how do you change the world? I think each of you have such strong and beautiful practices and are so thoughtful about that. Can you each say a little bit about how you see the world right now through this pandemic, through all that we've been through, multiple pandemics, really? And we're at potentially a turning point, whenever that turning point becomes apparent. What do you see as the change? What do you see as a different way forward. And by that, I think I've been thinking a lot about organizations and institutions, and obviously the reckoning that's been happening, especially in New York and elsewhere, around the injustices that have become very apparent, but have always been there and have been there a very long time. Some folks are just discovering that they are real. You know, what's your take? What's your feeling? What's your, what's this sort of turning point moment for you? If that all makes sense. Maybe Abby, if you want to start with that question.
Sure. I think for me, a big takeaway from this moment, when we look at the different types of pandemics that we can talk about, is the importance of workers who do essential work on behalf of the community. And for me, I began to think about how I fit into that. I come from essential workers. My mother is currently a nurse. My grandmother before her cared for people's children and was a domestic worker. And finding my place I began to look at how being an artist is a type of care worker as well. And so I'm interested in rethinking about how I come to my work, or rather identifying that. I think I've always thought that and felt it, and created music and art from that space. But really leaning into that now as one of my functions, being honoring that part of what I do is caring for care work for communities, small and large. And with that sense of intentionality, I feel that the work that I have to create now has to honor that and to continue to honor that. With that said, in terms of what I think needs to change somewhat is, from an organizational standpoint, I think organizations need to be more intentional in terms of how inclusive they are. And by inclusivity, I'm thinking of when you're looking to see who is an artist that you can exhibit or promote or support, really, where are you looking? What spaces are you looking? What communities are you looking in? How are you finding these people? I think that we travel in circles where the same people are doing work across so many different spaces, and they're doing wonderful work. But I think more intentionality and more time and resources needs to go into finding other diamonds who are doing care work in the universe that can represent the various communities that artwork is being done in.
I'd like to sort of continue on that note. In addition to our essential workers across the country and the world, who we've come to, in some levels, recognize more in the last year, or as I call them, first responders that are essential workers. And of course, that's not just in the medical field. I think interpreting it in a larger way is really important. But I do want to add that I really do think on top of essential workers, I think of, continuing what you're saying, Abby, that artists are essential workers that help communities continue going or surviving, or giving the ability to move on and be inspired and support us as we are getting through different issues in this world, because they're not going to stop. We just have to keep on working on, fighting. So, essential workers, but also, we're talking about what's really important for me. What keeps me going is community, and creating that community and engaging community. And I do a lot of public performances and activations, at least once or twice a year in different countries. Well, in different cities across our country. And it's, involving everyone. And even though I do show art in four walls, in galleries and museums, I actually think the work is more important on the streets. And that creates community, very much aligned with the Wide Awakes, who I'm a big part of. So it's really engaging in community, bringing new people in, and I think what's really important too is welcoming everyone. If it's a performance, I like to bring everyone who wants to be involved. And so again, I think engaging community, working together, and then back to the joy and love is so essential into how we move forward as artists.
Toshi, do you want to jump in with some thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just seeing how the time is moving, so I'm gonna jump into this kind of question around what do artists need, and what are the what is, Avery, the way you kind of, I think, tell me if I was wrong, but it's almost like what can institutions do for artists? And I really think that we all could take a look at the way it's going on the planet. So if you look at the planet, there's just a huge segregation between great wealth, great weapons, great holders of positions of power, and that ideologies of hate. And that's a band that is planet wide. Even if your government institution, whatever, is cool, it's so widely in abundance on the planet that we're all affected by it, because it's one world, one water, one earth, one everything. And so your territories do matter, but they don't. So so when I think about artistic institutions and what artists need, I think there should be intentional bonding between institutions. You all have to get together and take up the reality of the communities and the world that we're living on. And so many of the places I work have an empathetic calling to do that. I can see it happening, but it also means a breakup with the infrastructures that we've created over time that's just been specifically about presenting work, and to really embrace your possibilities in your communities, really embrace the fact that you have a building, usually, really embrace that you have a budget that can run electricity when it's working. You have perhaps you have bathrooms, perhaps you have Wi-Fi, perhaps you have several places in your building. And I've been waiting for every institution to teach Saturday class. I was and kids are why don't all of you have Saturday class? And why not focus them on traditional subjects and more? But where's Saturday class? If everybody has Saturday class in their communities, so much could happen. They might need to be virtual. Could be field trips. Could be this, but I'm make a budget and have Saturday class, or Saturday and Sunday class, or Wednesday night class. Who is teaching something Wednesday night for a particular thing? And I think that's inclusive of your artist community, or your, I really like to melt. I just consider everybody an artist. So I'm scientists, mathematicians, the person that knows how to clean brown leaves off of a field so that, all of these people are creative and have something to give. And I just thinking of the world as really, really make a big jump to who can be a part of this conversation, who could be a part of institutions, who can be, like, you are a possible front line to holding a line of socialism that we have been living with. I don't give a fuck what people want to say about that, but artistic, creative institutions could actually hold a line that governments are trying to deteriorate. And I just am like, jump up into it. I know many of you get your money from governments, but I'm like, well, you know what? Give it a shot. Like, play to the people and see if you can inspire the people to join you, or you join the people's revolution that's already happening, and see if there's a next level of living that is like, actually, we're not going with you. Like, and what we see, you know, the science fiction authors and speculative fiction authors, you know, great Octavia Butler has showed that if you keep letting them push you to a certain position, they will never stop. They will never stop. If you keep being adaptable to smaller and smaller pieces of the life you created, they will never stop. They do not care about death. They do not care if you have no water. They do not care about children. They don't care about any of those things. So here you have these beautiful creative institutions that care greatly about things. And that, to me, is what artists need. We need a bigger embrace of, one, what is the artistic landscape? And we need to serve our communities in creative and artistic ways. And we need to be so amazing that our governments, local and statewide, citywide, federal governments, are ashamed of how you can make ourselves be like the biggest voice in the torture and the this and that, which is holding a lot of our conversation and energy, because we're in a state of emergency. Is good. It can get smaller and smaller, but I think that's it. And I think it's dangerous. Like, you should maybe feel like, you know what, next year we don't know if we're gonna have a right to this building. Well, you should maybe feel like, I'm not sure if they're gonna turn the electricity off on us. You know, it is to me, it's the jump to that level. And you know, all of the other stuff, like keep being creative and keep being beautiful. But that's what artists need, because we are people. And I come from people who sounded their bodies to stay alive. So we didn't call it art, we call it living. And that's, you know, that's what I'm hopeful for. Like, I'm hopeful people will have a real, why is there not in programming, a men's programming around violence? You know, like, women came around and said, like, we have to be inside of every conversation. And so there's women's everything, there's, you know, and the resistance to the trans movement, non-binary movements. And then I'm like, you know, where is the programming for men in violence? You know, and it just doesn't exist. But if we do not have that conversation, what's going to happen? So this is what artists need. We need our next level. We need to meet this time from our most massive possibilities, and then create the most intimate relationships that we can with each other, so that it has a foundational root that is not shaken by the loss of a building, by the cutoff of electricity, you know, and whatever things people will try to do to us because we being fierce.
I'd like to riff. Yes, yeah. Thank you. I'd like to riff off that for a second, Toshi. Thank you. That really, really inspired by your words. This state of emergency, because that's really what it is. And I just wanted to quickly respond to what an artist needs. And one of my big focuses is equal pay. Artists deserve equal pay. And I have an initiative I started last year called the Art of Equal Pay, and it's to decrease the gender and racial pay gaps for women identifying artists. So that's actually why I'm in upstate New York. I'm doing a performance called The Art of Equal Pay. It's called Emergency Response for pay equity. So I just wanted to kind of respond to, I think pay equity in the arts in particular is very important. And I think there's been links put in the chat about what we're doing and how artists can get involved. But that's, I've been working on emergency responses and these performances that are called emergency response. And that's what we need to do. We're in a state of emergency, just like you said. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you both. Karen, is there anything you want to add from your perspective about what you need, what artists need more generally?
Well, everything that's been said was just so powerful. I just to be part of the conversation here, I'll just make brief points, but yes, I really wanted to respond to what the speakers were saying earlier, and I just felt it was very powerful and inspiring. And in terms of artist labor, I think that there's even more than the idea of artist of it being equitable, but so much of what we do is considered free, or that what artists do is to be considered recreational. And there's so much work that artists do constantly with no kind of support at all. I mean, it's basically, it's you're paying out of your pocket for that. And very concerned when going with the essential workers that was brought up by Abby. Thank you for your conversation. That was really inspiring. And bringing that to the arts and bringing that connection is, so many artists are freelance workers because we don't have any pay. So it's so minimal. And that in terms of receiving unemployment and those kind of benefits is basically, even in this state of New York that we're in that supports the artists, that's very, very concerning to me. And that's something we have to do. But it is part of a system, and we are participating in it when we're in systems that are going to be that are capitalist systems on the object, and who are we taking from, and whose art or culture is that participating in, who gets to benefit from that. And so those are very, very important. And that I just because of time, that's something that's very important to me, to be seen about how I participate in these systems that continue this inequity and racism. So thank you for bringing that up earlier. And then finally, I'd like to say that with the war and seeing this horror that's going on, and to be seeing the amount of $2 trillion that was spent, 20 years, I think it's 37 million displaced, a million dead. And to be thinking that if 2 trillion had been used in cultural programs, if we had say, we're going to take, you have $1 trillion, we're going to be doing an art exchange for 20 years. We're going to have cultural humanities exchange here as part of it. With all those guns, all those weapons that they're carrying, no one is carrying any. I'd love for the artists that I'm here with, that they could have been, instead of the guns and the artillery and the tanks, that their songs and community work could have been part of this exchange. But that wasn't there. We're just leaving this military machine, and that's part of the change too. We have to replace war with art and culture and communication.
I feel like we should just stop there. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are coming up on our time. I know we could just actually keep on going. Maybe just one last round for each of you. What's a dream you're having right now, whether a dream project or a dream activity, a dream moment. What is that dream? And maybe someone out there listening can activate that dream. So maybe we'll start with Abby.
I'm sort of still imagining my dream project, but I referenced it earlier, the one where I'm working with women, Black women specifically, women of color, who are care workers, including artists, activists, and healthcare workers. That's my current dream in terms of mining that landscape for their stories and creating work around it. My dream, my larger dream, is sort of a piggyback on Toshi's last comment, just a broader organizations taking a broader view of what community engagement means, and starting not with, you know, a person that they've hired that does community engagement, but starting with the people in the community that they purport to serve, and seeing, you know, what kind of community-based artwork they wish to have in their name in an area, in a neighborhood, and then the power of that, just using the arts not just as a form of currency, but in response to politics. So taking also from what Karen just said, really using cultural work of artists to speak to power in as many ways as possible. That's my dream for myself and for all of us here. And thank you for having me.
Toshi, do you want to jump in with your current dream?
My current dream is to just to have all of us to continue to elevate and meet this moment in time as humans on the planet, and to really to stop segregating ourselves from the earth, and try to get closer and closer. We are of earth, we're made of water. For us to take some big steps towards that, that's my dream.
My dream is, with the process of reimagining, that can actually be possible, that the dream can change, and to have the belief in the dream. But in order to do that is to participate in the dream, and also for the dreams of others, the dreams, and how I can support that, the dreams and the reimagining. Thank you. Oh, and I think I will just say, life is more important than art, but life is meaningless without art. And to have that balance and awareness. Thank you.
My dream, I feel like, in particular with the project Art of Equal Pay, is to really expand that, and my dream would be for pay equity for women and women identifying, both artists and people across the country. So my initiative, I just hope it can grow, and we're doing many things. We're actually asking, I just want to throw this in quickly, we're asking women identifying artists to raise their prices by 15%. And that's complicated, but that's sort of the gist of it. So please visit our website and see what you can do more. And in particular, doing a survey that we're asking all genders to participate in. So my dream is for pay equity for artists. And thank you, everyone. Truly, this has been really inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're coming up on our time, and I guess I just, also want to offer gratitude to all of you. it's been an incredible journey. I was talking with Suhaili and Sade and Jonathan from National Black Theater a couple days ago, and we really realized that we've been working on this for 3 years. We were working on it pre-pandemic, and so my dream has really come true in many, many ways. This opportunity to meet all of you and all of the amazing participants in this project. And it's one of our youth corps from the Armory said, it's the gift that just keeps on giving. And that's been such a lovely thing to hear from a young person. And the youth corps has been using our archive across the pandemic time. It's been such a rich resource for them. And I know a couple of you mentioned, Karen, you thinking about the next generation. And so I do want to just say that all of your projects have really inspired them. Many of the projects that we know were just little micro commissions, just a little spark of support. We knew we didn't have a lot. All our budgets were frozen and we went through this crisis, but we knew that the spark needed to happen. And so on reflection, I just am really grateful that this dream has been evolving and emerging, and I'm hoping that you are meeting new people and new supporters and new friends and new communities through this project. So I just want to send some gratitude out to all of you and all the other artists, and also the institutions who did join in this effort, the 11 institutions. It was actually quite an extraordinary moment that it's something you said, Toshi, that institutions realized that, hey, working together is actually really wonderful, cost-effective, and a space of solidarity that really doesn't happen too often in New York. So when you think about the range of institutions from the Metropolitan Museum of Art to the Laundromat Project, Juilliard, NYU, and so many others that joined us, it was really a commitment to the artists. And I think that was what was quite extraordinary to me. As budgets were cut, people lost their jobs. There was a commitment to the artists and the artistic projects in some way, shape, or form. So I'm just really appreciative of all of you and your time today, and being open to this conversation. I know I kind of don't want to wrap up. I just want to keep going, but I know we do have to wrap up. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters. And I'm going to hand it over now to Darian, my fantastic colleague from the Armory, to kind of close us out and lead us into the afternoon and into the future. So Darian.
Thank you, Avery. I'm Darian Suggs, the Associate Director of Public Programs at the Park Avenue Armory. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a fair-skinned Black man with closely cropped dark hair. I'm currently wearing black eyeglasses. I am wearing a white button-down short sleeve shirt. I'm joining from Westfield, New Jersey, the ancestral homeland of the Munsee Lenape. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed today's conversation. This is the finale of this series, 9 outstanding panels hosted by the Park Avenue Armory and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. A special thank you to all 11 100 Years, 100 Women partners, and the well over 100 artists and participants. All of the conversations, artist bios, commissions, including the 100 Years, 100 Women film, and resources can be found in our archive at 100years100women.net. We encourage you to visit to learn more and enjoy. Toshi Reagon, Abby Dobson, Michele Pred, Karen Finley, our brilliant host, Avery Willis Hoffman, thank you. A very special thanks to our wonderful ASL interpreters. We will now close with a beautiful and soulful performance of our sisters, daughters, and mothers, a Southeastern Woodlands contemporary women's honor song created and recorded by my fave, Martha Redbone. Be well and take good care.
Whoa, where, hey, where, hey, where, hey, whoa, where, hey, ya, hey, yo. Whoa, where, hey, where, hey, where, hey, whoa, where, hey, ya, hey, yo. Whoa, where, hey, whoa, where, hey, where, hey, where, hey, ya, hey, yo. Whoa. Honor our daughters, honor our sisters, honor